Good morning, this is Luke with Austin's Appliance Service. Today we'll be talking about dishwasher tips, ways to help your dishwasher wash better. Before I get started, I did want to just ask and mention, do you guys want to continue with tips in this video form? I'm already noticing a drop off. The first video I did ended up somewhere around 2,300 views, which was quite large for the audience I'm used to. And from every video subsequently has dropped in views. And so is this not the form people want? Am I wearing people out, or am I just making a mountain out of a molehill? And so, some feedback would be appreciated. If you prefer it in written form, if you want both, please just give me some feedback. And again, remember, I am uploading these things to YouTube. But again, today I wanted to talk about dishwasher tips. A lot of the dishwashers made today are... it's not that they won't wash the dishes, but you got to do a lot more to make them wash properly. The old ones, they had a bigger motor, they had more water, and essentially they were going to blast your dishes clean. They didn't care about so much... it wasn't going to stop them if your water temperature wasn't just right. It wasn't going to stop them if you didn't use the right amount of... they were just going to blast things clean. So now we get to this modern day, namby-pamby, high efficiency, save the world, really small motor, very little water, so-called high efficiency stuff. But, anything that's high efficiency, you know how to read between the lines. Most high efficiency things just mean don't work as well. It actually means the opposite of what you're seeing. For something to work efficiently, it should do a better job. And yet, anytime we find something that's high efficiency, usually means it's going to use less water, it's going to have a smaller motor, and it's going to be more of a pain to make it work right. You can make the new dishwashers work, but there's more that has to be happy for that to happen. So one of the first things with these newer dishwashers is that almost all your dishwashers are going to be located near the kitchen sink. Run your hot water tap, run the hot water at the sink until you get that water as hot as possible before you turn the dishwasher on. What you're doing is you're ensuring that the hot water from the water heater is being drawn up to the same area as the dishwasher before you start it. Because these dishwashers are high efficiency, they fill with a lot less water. In doing so, that dishwasher, if you don't ensure that the hot water has been pulled up out of the water heater up to the dishwasher, there's a good chance that dishwasher could run almost a full cycle before getting to any hot water. You could run a whole cycle on lukewarm water. The reason being is if I'm only drawing up about a gallon, because that's about what these newer dishwashers pull, or about a gallon of water, and if my water heater is 40, 50, 60, 100 feet across the house, you've got 100 feet worth of line where that water is losing heat. And so when you turn the hot water on at your sink, it isn't hot at first because it has to draw it up out of the water heater. Well, if I'm only drawing a gallon off that line every time, and then the dishwasher runs about 10 minutes per fill. In other words, it fills, and then it washes with that water for about 10 minutes. During that 10 minutes, that gallon of water you pulled up out of the water heater is losing heat. And so by the time that gallon actually gets to the dishwasher, it's going to be cold too. So the first thing to do is to run your hot water and get it as hot as possible at the tap before you turn the dishwasher on. Second thing is something we touched on the other day when we were just talking about detergents in general, is the right amount of soap. Soap can cause so many problems, and one of the things it causes is it will cause the dishwasher not to wash well. And so if we get too much soap, if we get too heavy on the soap, our dishes aren't going to clean well, because again, we're only filling with about a gallon of water. What used to be 5 gallons, or 4 or 5 gallons of water is now 1, and if you notice on the door, that cup that sits on the door, about that big, it's still about that big. It's always been about that big. And yet, the water usage has been reduced by about 1/5. And yet the cup size is still about as big as it's ever been. So you fill that cup, you're not going to wash dishes very well, if at all. You're going to be blowing bubbles, essentially. And so the right amount of soap. If you're having trouble with the way your dishwasher washes and you've boosted and you've made sure the water's hot, the next thing to do is make sure you're not just blowing suds. And again, we talked about run that dishwasher, open the door, look for suds in the water. If you find that there's suds in the water and you haven't added any soap, you have an oversudsing issue. You need to run that thing, get it clean. Vinegar is a good cleaner. There's a product called Lemmy Shine that'll clean your dishwasher really well as well. Dishwasher Magic, there's lots of cleaners out there, but get that buildup out. So hot water, make sure your water's hot. Make sure you're using the right amount of soap. Rinse aid. Rinse aid is a bigger deal now. Again, this is one of those things that when we used more pressure and more water, it didn't really matter as much, but that rinse aid is acting like a car wax almost. And what it does is it's coating any porous material. So your glass has grains. Your Tupperware has pores. Plastic is porous, glass has grains. Even your ceramics, there's grains in these items. And what the rinse aid does is it acts like a car wax in a sense. So what it's doing is it's filling up the porous part of those dishes so that the next time they go through, they don't want to hold everything in the grains. And, honestly, if we were using the right amount of soap, it wouldn't be as crucial to have rinse aid. That rinse aid, a lot of what that rinse aid is doing is it's blocking the soap from filling up the pores of your Tupperwares. If you got Tupperware and they turn all white on you, that's soap. Your glasses are cloudy, that's soap. A lot of what the rinse aid is doing is preventing the oversudsing to show up as bad. And, again, so rinse aid is more of a preventative dealing with the soap. But if we cut back on the soap, the rinse aid's not a bad thing, but really one of its biggest roles is to block your dishes from holding soap. Another thing is making sure, because this happens from time to time, making sure you're loading it in such a way that something's not blocking the arm. If something falls through and blocks that arm where the arms can't rotate, it could be a problem. If you're noticing all of a sudden your dishes aren't cleaning well, that's also something to check. Just grab your wash arms, the lower and the middle one or the upper one, spin them, see if they actually spin freely. I don't know how many times I've run into something where, because dishwashers have a way of hiding stuff in the back, I don't know how many times that's the first thing I've done, and then I get in there and there's a spoon or something that fell out of the basket and it's back there blocking the arm, but you just can't see it unless you get down and actually look for it. But a lot of times you'll find that just by spinning the arm. Other than that, one of the biggest differences between the old dishwashers and the new, you can't really depend on that newer dishwasher to remove old food buildup. In other words, if I got a little ketchup, a little something on the dish, and it's going right from the table to the dishwasher, and you're turning that dishwasher on, you're going to be fine. But if that dish has sat in the sink for a couple days and then you put it in the dishwasher, don't expect that dishwasher to actually get it off the plate. You'll find that they don't have the pressure. They don't have the pressure, so they can't knock that old dried up stuff off like the old ones would have. So that's just never going to happen. And then that's just a sad, unfortunate truth of the difference from old to new. These newer dishwashers just don't possess the pressure to knock off old food buildup. So if it isn't going right straight from the table to the dishwasher, it's probably not going to get the food off. And there's a balance there too. Some people there's that rumor that has been going around, I think since probably about the 80s or 90s. It was these Whirlpool and KitchenAid commercials where they took the platter with a cake and they stick it in the dishwasher and it comes out all sparkling, and that was never true. But that gave the impression somewhere along the way, and I've even heard salesmen tell people this, that your dishwasher has a built-in disposal. It does not. It never has. They never have had a disposal built into them. They have what's called a macerator blade. The macerator blade sits right at the intake, the front of the intake, where it goes into the wash motor. All that's there for is to chop up food particle, small food particle. It's not there to consume a cake. It's not there to take care of anything that you would put down in the disposal. Your dishwasher is not a garbage disposal. It does not possess a garbage disposal. It does not have the chopping head of a garbage disposal. It has a piece of wire or a flat piece of steel about that big. It's not made to chop up your food. Those are the things that come to mind this morning. If I missed something, I'll catch it in another video. But again, I would appreciate some feedback. Do you guys still want video form? Do you want written form? Please let me know. If you want both, let me know. I just some feedback would help to know how to move forward on this. If I'm just trying to ski uphill on this, I'd like to know. If you guys prefer the written form, I'd like to know. And again, keep in mind, all these videos are getting uploaded to YouTube. I am going to do more with YouTube in the future where the videos will originate there. And so there should be more material there at some point too, not just these videos re-uploaded. So I'm going to get to work, and you guys have a good day.